There are men who chase power, and men who chase peace, but the rarest of all are those who master themselves. Epictetus was one of them. He was born into chains, a slave in the empire of Rome, where men were owned like tools and broken for obedience. His body was weak, his freedom taken, yet his spirit stood untouched. In that stillness of captivity, he discovered the greatest of all powers, the rule of the mind over itself, and from that moment, no one could command him again. Epictetus taught that the man who governs himself is mightier than the one who conquers a city. He found strength not in control of others, but in discipline, an invisible empire within. These are his lessons, carved not in stone, but in the living memory of all who have sought mastery over impulse, fear, and desire. The first lesson: control what you can. Every morning, the world begins its noise: orders, desires, losses, praise, blame. Most people rush to tame the noise, to bend the world toward their will. But Epictetus looked inward. Some things are within our power, he said, and some are not. The disciplined man separates the two as a soldier, separates weapon from shadow. He cannot command the wind, but he can steady his sail. He cannot control the tongues of men, but he can command his response. The fool spends his life trying to master the world. The wise spend their life mastering themselves. Control is not about victory. It is about clarity. The mind that knows its limits is unbreakable. The second lesson: accept what you cannot control. When misfortune struck, he did not curse it. He watched it as one watches a passing storm, saying, "If you wish for things to happen as they do, you will never be disappointed." He understood that the universe moves with its own rhythm, and peace lies not in resistance, but in accord. The disciplined soul learns to bow, not in surrender, but in understanding. He does not demand that fate obey him. He learns to move in harmony with it. Acceptance is not weakness. It is wisdom wearing armor. The third lesson: train discomfort. Comfort, Epictetus said, is the slow poison of the spirit. A life lived in ease dulls the edge of the will. He taught his students to fast, to rise early, to endure cold, to sit with hunger without complaint. For how can one be strong in crisis if he has never faced hunger in calm? He would say, difficulties show what men are. The disciplined man seeks difficulty, not because he loves pain, but because pain reveals the truth of what he is made of. When life grows easy, he sharpens himself on purpose. He knows that steel cannot be forged in warmth. The fourth lesson: guard your impulses. The body is wild. It craves pleasure, ease, approval, but the will must stand as a gatekeeper. Epictetus believed that discipline begins the moment between impulse and action, the sacred pause where the mind chooses. Every temptation is a test of sovereignty. Do you act, or do you react? The undisciplined man is a puppet pulled by pleasure and fear. The disciplined man is the hand that cuts the strings. No man is free who is not master of himself. Every victory begins in silence, with the refusal to be moved by the first emotion that rises. The fifth lesson: practice silence. Epictetus lived simply, spoke little, and listened more. He warned that most men talk to prove themselves rather than to understand. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish. The disciplined man saves his energy for action, not argument. He knows that noise wastes strength. When others boast, he listens. When others rage, he observes. When others rush to speak, he waits. Words once given cannot be recalled. Silence is a sword sheathed in wisdom. The disciplined speak not to be heard, but to bring light where noise has cast shadow. The sixth lesson, prepare the mind. Each dawn, before rising, Epictetus would tell himself, "Today I shall meet ungrateful men, the proud, the deceitful, the envious." He did not do this to despair, but to disarm. He knew that forethought kills surprise, and surprise feeds anger. The disciplined mind rehearses life the way a warrior rehearses battle. When insult comes, it has already been met in thought. When pain arrives, it is an old acquaintance. Fate cannot defeat a man who has already accepted its visit. Preparation turns the unpredictable into the expected, and the expected into peace. The seventh lesson, detach from desire. Desire is the chain the world hides in gold. Epictetus warned that the more you want, the more power you give to what is outside you. He is a slave to many masters who seeks many things. The disciplined heart wants only what depends on its own virtue, integrity, calm, and courage. When desire is mastered, the world loses its leverage. Praise no longer intoxicates, blame no longer poisons. The disciplined man walks through both triumph and ruin with the same untroubled step. He is beyond the reach of fortune, because fortune no longer decides what he values. The eighth lesson, live simply. He owned one cloak, one lamp, one loaf of bread. When a thief stole his lamp, he smiled. "He has chosen the poorer trade," he said. "I lost a lamp. He lost his integrity." Discipline is simplicity, freedom from the weight of excess. The more you own, the more you must protect. The less you need, the harder it is for the world to hurt you. The disciplined soul is light, moving through life like wind through reeds, silent, untroubled, free. The ninth lesson, keep promises to yourself. Each broken vow weakens the spirit. Each kept one strengthens it. Discipline is not built in public, it is earned in solitude. When the will commands and the body obeys, something sacred occurs. The self begins to trust itself. Epictetus taught that the greatest respect a man can give himself is to act according to his own word. No witness is needed. The disciplined are those whose actions align with their values, even when no one is watching. They are faithful to the commitments they make in silence, because discipline is not performance. It is private integrity turned into daily habit. The 10th lesson, choose virtue over comfort. Virtue was, for Epictetus, the only good worth pursuing. Comfort passes, virtue endures. The man who serves comfort becomes fragile, for every soft choice weakens the will. But the man who serves virtue grows unbreakable. Even when his master broke his leg, Epictetus did not curse him. He said quietly, "You will break it." And when it broke, he smiled, "Did I not tell you so?" His body was not his to command, but his reaction was. The flesh suffered, the spirit stood calm. That is the summit of discipline, the refusal to let pain decide the shape of your soul. From these 10 lessons rises a single truth. Discipline is freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you wish, but the freedom to remain unmoved when the world commands you otherwise. Epictetus did not seek admiration, he sought mastery. His students remembered his calm as something otherworldly, as if he had already reached a peace the rest of humanity only dreams of. When they asked how he endured insult, he said, "I have learned to see only the cause within myself. If it lies outside, it cannot touch me." That was his shield, the perfect harmony between will and reason. Discipline, in his eyes, was not punishment. It was art, the sculpting of the soul. Like a craftsman shaping marble, every choice removes what is unnecessary until only strength remains. A man who lives by these principles moves quietly. He expects nothing, fears nothing, and commands himself with gentleness. His power is invisible, but immense. He does not control the world, but the world cannot control him. In the end, Epictetus gained the one thing even emperors envied: peace. He owned no gold, built no monuments, left no heirs of blood, but his ideas became an inheritance for all who struggle against themselves. Long after Rome turned to dust, his voice still whispers through time. Do not wish for events to happen as you desire, but desire them to happen as they do. There is no noise in those words, only stillness. The stillness of a man who has mastered himself completely. If you wish to learn discipline, begin not with grand vows or impossible routines. Begin as he did, with observation. Watch your impulses rise and fall like waves. Let reason be the shore that holds steady. You will fail at first. That is part of training. But each time you rise, you carve a deeper channel toward freedom. The disciplined man is not the one who never falters, but the one who never quits returning to himself. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." So be patient. Greatness grows quietly, in repetition, in reflection, in restraint. Over time, you will feel something shift. The noise will fade. The storms will still rage, but they will not shake you. And you will understand what he meant, that true power is not to rule, but to remain unruled. And when that day comes, when desire no longer commands you, when comfort no longer seduces you, when fear no longer leads you astray, remember him, the slave, who became freer than kings. Because in the end, there is only one kingdom worth mastering, the one within. And discipline is its throne,